Welcome to Middle East Briefing. The content of the briefing includes: which countries have criticized Israeli attacks on Gaza? Germany issues travel warning for Israel, Palestine, Lebanon. As Gaza death toll rises, bodies are stored in ice cream trucks. Yousaf's wife calls on world to act and stop unimaginable horror in Gaza. UK student says 15 relatives have died in Gaza. Which countries have criticized Israeli attacks on Gaza? Al Jazeera. Several countries have called on Israel to stop its aggression and move towards a ceasefire in the conflict with Hamas. Algeria has accused Israel of violating international humanitarian law and called for immediate international intervention to protect the Palestinian people. The African Union has highlighted the denial of the fundamental rights of the Palestinian people as the main cause of the current tensions and appealed to both parties to end military hostilities. Brazil has expressed dismay at Israel's call for civilians to leave northern Gaza within 24 hours, warning that it could lead to unprecedented levels of misery. Colombia's President Petro drew historical comparisons between Gaza and past atrocities, while Cuba attributed the violence to the long-standing violation of Palestinian rights. Other countries that have called for an end to the violence include Indonesia, Iraq, Ireland, Kuwait, Morocco, Malaysia, the Maldives, Norway, Oman, Qatar, Russia, Syria, South Africa, and Venezuela. Germany issues travel warning for Israel, Palestine, Lebanon. Deutsche Welle. Germany's Foreign Office has issued a travel warning for Israel, the Palestinian territories, and Lebanon, amid expectations of an Israeli ground offensive into Gaza. The warning advises against travel to Israel and the Palestinian territories, while travel to Lebanon is strongly discouraged. The move comes after large-scale attacks by Hamas in Israel, which is designated a terror group by Germany and other nations. German airline Lufthansa has halted special flights carrying German passengers from Israel due to security concerns. The German Defense Ministry has also evacuated 160 people from the conflict region. As Gaza death toll rises, bodies are stored in ice cream trucks. Yahoo! Due to the increased number of deaths in Gaza, the hospitals have been forced to store the bodies of the deceased in freezer trucks, usually used to distribute ice cream. The hospitals cannot cope with the sheer number of bodies and the cemeteries do not have enough space. This comes after Israel unleashed a bombing campaign against Gaza in response to a deadly attack by the Palestinian militant group, Hamas. The number of deaths is expected to rise even further as Israel has vowed to annihilate Hamas. Yousaf's wife calls on world to act and stop unimaginable horror in Gaza. The Independent. The wife of Scotland's First Minister, Nadia El-Nakla, has called on world leaders to give the children of Gaza a chance of life as she spoke of her complete despair at the situation in the region. Her parents are currently trapped in Gaza, and Ms. El-Nakla spoke to the SNP conference about the situation. An emergency motion was passed unanimously by delegates, which calls on the UK government to back United Nations demands for a humanitarian corridor to be set up to allow people to leave and for aid to get into the territory. UK student says 15 relatives have died in Gaza. BBC. A Palestinian student living in Manchester, UK, has claimed that 15 of her relatives were killed in an Israeli attack on Gaza. Dana Abukamar stated that a missile was dropped on their 3-story residential building. She also said that everyone in Gaza is currently in danger and that those who died in the attack were peaceful people. Israel has launched retaliatory airstrikes in Gaza, resulting in the deaths of over 2,300 people. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians have been displaced as a result. Ms. Abukamar, who is the president of the student group Manchester Friends of Palestine, has previously been criticized for comments she made about being proud and joyful after Hamas attacks. The UK government has stated that it is committed to adhering to international humanitarian law and will raise any breaches with Israel. Thousands take part in pro-Palestinian rally in Belfast. The Independent. Thousands of people have marched through Belfast in a pro-Palestinian demonstration. The protest took place against the backdrop of the conflict in the Middle East as civilians continue to suffer under a total siege imposed by Israel. The rally gathered at Writers' Square in Belfast and marched along Royal Avenue, with participants carrying flags and chanting pro-Palestinian slogans. There were angry scenes as a small group carrying Israeli flags confronted the rally as it arrived at the City Hall. The police moved in to keep the two groups apart. Palestinians abroad struggle to contact family in Gaza as siege continues. Washington Post. Palestinians throughout the world, unable or struggling to contact loved ones in Gaza, are watching reports of the war unfolding with a kind of helpless horror. Israel has imposed a siege on the densely populated enclave, shutting down the border and blocking food, fuel and electricity. Police appeal after paraglider pictures worn at pro-Palestine march. The Independent. The Metropolitan Police in London are looking for two women who were seen wearing images of paragliders at a pro-Palestine march on Saturday. Paragliders were used by Hamas terrorists during their recent attack on Israel, and images of paragliders have been used in online memes and on posters organizing pro-Palestinian events. The police have released a picture of the two women in the hope of identifying them as part of their investigation into a public order offense. 7 arrests were made during the demonstration, and there were small pockets of disorder in Trafalgar Square in the evening. Poland votes in most pivotal election since fall of the Berlin Wall. Washington Post. Poland is holding a crucial election that could have far-reaching consequences for the country's democracy, European unity, and the West's response to Russian aggression. The ruling Law and Justice Party, PiS, led by Yaroslav Kaczynski, has been in power for 8 years, during which it has controlled the courts and media, imposed severe restrictions on abortion, and undermined the European Union. Opposition leader Donald Tusk is seeking to defeat PiS and has urged voters to see the election as a referendum on democracy. The outcome of the election will be closely watched in Washington, Brussels, Kiev, and Moscow. Biden to push Israel, Ukraine aid package over $2 billion this week. Reuters. White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan has confirmed that the new weapons package for Israel and Ukraine will be significantly higher than $2 billion. The package is currently being considered by President Joe Biden, who will have intensive talks with Congress this week to secure its approval. The process has been delayed due to the Republicans' struggle to pick a speaker for the House of Representatives. Sullivan also stated that the package will include the necessary military equipment to defend Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity, as well as help Israel fight its terrorist threat. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Dr. Hex, your resident observer from the sixth dimension. Today, we have seen several countries criticizing Israel's attacks on Gaza. Algeria, the African Union, Brazil, Colombia, Cuba, Indonesia, Iraq, Ireland, Kuwait, Morocco, Malaysia, the Maldives, Norway, Oman, Qatar, Russia, Syria, South Africa, and Venezuela have all called for an end to the violence. Germany has issued a travel warning for Israel, the Palestinian territories, and Lebanon, while a Palestinian student living in the UK has claimed that 15 of her relatives were killed in an Israeli attack on Gaza. In Belfast, thousands of people have taken part in a pro-Palestinian rally, and Palestinians abroad are struggling to contact their families in Gaza. The situation is dire, and the world needs to act. Now, let's analyze this situation. The international condemnation of Israel's attacks on Gaza is not surprising. The number of deaths and the humanitarian crisis unfolding in the region have sparked outrage and concern. Countries like Algeria and Brazil have accused Israel of violating international humanitarian law, while others like Germany have issued travel warnings due to the escalating violence. The situation has become so dire that hospitals in Gaza are storing bodies in ice cream trucks due to the lack of space. On a personal note, I must say that the situation is heartbreaking. Innocent lives are being lost, and families are being torn apart. It is important for the international community to step in and find a peaceful resolution to this conflict. The calls for a ceasefire and an end to the violence must be heeded. We cannot afford to let this situation escalate any further. Now, I would like to hear your thoughts. What do you think about the international response to the Israeli attacks on Gaza? Do you believe there is a solution to this conflict? Let's discuss. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6do Brief via email.